What's up, everybody? My name is E, and happy Sunday. Today I came in to react to Trina Braxton and her dusty, crusty husband, Von Scales. You know, I'm a big fan of the Braxtons. My favorites were always Tracy, Tony, and Trina. I can't get with Tamar and Tawanda, so don't even ask. But it really seems like the Braxton girls have an affinity for wayward relationships, broken men, and trifling men. And, I was really rooting for Trina and hoping that, she found her happily ever after. But now, after this interaction with her and her husband on their show, I'm feeling a little bit differently, and I'm concerned. I'm worried about Trina, and we're going to react to it today. I'm going to play the video of Trina Braxton and her husband, Von Scales, discussing Trina's grieving process after the passing of her ex-husband, Gabe, and her sister, Tracy Braxton. So before we get into it, I have to send warmth and positive energy to Trina. First and foremost, losing an ex-husband and the loss of a sister would weigh down on even the strongest of women. And what Trina needs right now more than anything else is our support, because it's clear to me this is something she cannot receive at home. Everybody, please hit the like and subscribe button and turn on the notifications. And to Gabe and Tracy, we know you're watching down. May you continue to rest in power and continue to watch down upon your kids and loved ones. And may they always feel your heavenly presence and protection every day. Amen.
You said that you felt that I punished you.
Yes. And then I said that Von didn't realize that I loved him for real, and I loved him and I chose him.
You're putting words in my mouth.
No, I'm saying I'm recapping.
Okay.
So now with that recap, what do you have to say?
Yeah, okay, first off, what you said was really jumbled.
Trina said Von didn't realize that I loved him for real and that I chose him. This was Trina sharing her experience. And the first thing out of his mouth was, that was jumble. Listen, jumble is an untidy collection or pile of things. What she said was fine because it was her truth.
But what you said, what was said on the episode, is that she felt like she was punished for grieving. And that was absolutely true. Yeah, I was angry because, and since we're having this conversation, and here's the thing, this wasn't my idea. She asked me if we would talk about this tonight.
I did.
Here we go. Here we go with the victim blaming. This wasn't my idea. She asked me the question. Translation, it's her fault for anything that comes out of my mouth after this because she knows I don't give a fuck. She asked me to talk about this. She brought this topic up. People who know me know I don't care what people think about me. Translation, I'm going to punish you again for bringing this shit up because I did not like it then and I do not like it now. Trina, what is this?
Anybody that knows me knows that I don't bite my tongue because I don't really care what people think of me. So I'm just going to say it. If you want my honest opinion,
Yes.
I don't see a lot of difference between the way you grieved for Tracy and Gabe. It looked the same to me. There was a little more heat behind Tracy, of course, because it's your sister.
For Von to be a damn Aquarius, he sure does mismanage his words a lot. He said the grieving process between how Trina grieved for Tracy looked the same when Trina grieved for Gabe. And that made him angry because he thought feelings were there and that he punished her for grieving. This is what he said. And on one hand, I respect him for his honesty, but just because I respect you for being honest, now I'm expecting you to do something about it. I'm expecting you to do something now because now the anger should have subsided and there is a There is an easing of tensions which should have taken place, and he should have softened up when it comes to this topic. And from what I can see, based upon his stance, he's just as firm in his anger as he was the day it happened. If everything Trina said was true, what the fuck is all this pushback for? Vaughn just admitted that her feeling sad because her ex-husband died made him angry. What the fuck is this?
To me, and I have nothing to measure it against when Gabe died, so I didn't know anything, but I knew I didn't like it. Because to me, the grief seemed too strong for someone you'd had all those problems with.
He says when Gabe first passed away, he thought it was unusual for Trina to be so distraught, even though she had been with Gabe for 20 years and he raised her children, because Gabe gave her so many problems during that marriage. Now, clearly, Vaughn has no perception of unconditional love. I don't know if there's anybody in his life who he loves unconditionally. I don't know what type of love or relationship he has with his parents, but, clearly I can understand why things didn't work out in his first marriage. But the huge red flag that's slapping me across the face right now is Vaughn is a scorekeeper. He keeps score of how many times you hurt him. And what he just said was, I can't believe you would have this much sentiment for Gabe after he gave you all these problems. Translation, if you give me these much problems, I'm walking out the door, lose my fucking number. That's what he's saying. And the reason I have a problem with this keeping score is because he said he knew he did not like how sad Trina was over Gabe, but he didn't realize that she really loved him until Tracy died and the grieving process was similar. So wait a minute. Trina is grieving the loss of her sister, and you're over here complaining to her about how she was grieving when Gabe died just a few years before? Bitch, are you crazy? I just lost my sister, and you're talking about my ex-husband who passed a few years before. Vaughn, shut up.
That's my opinion, because that's the way I look at the world. Now we had a number of conversations about it. We had a number of arguments about it. Mm-hmm. But it wasn't until Tracy passed and I had time to reflect, probably sitting, on a mountain somewhere by myself, and I'm like, you know what? Those two grievings didn't look all that different to me. And that made me angry. So
he says he was sitting on a mountain by himself. Not sure if he means literally or figuratively, but he says he had a moment to reflect. And all he came up with during that moment in his alone time was that Trina was crying over Gabe's death just as much as she cried over Tracy. So in that time of reflection, you didn't think, let me show her some grace, some kindness, some compassion, some empathy? Assume goodwill, Vaughn. You're over there in your ego. You're in your head about visuals you lack the comprehension of because you never had a great relationship with the exes in your life. This is why you cannot recognize Trina is not in her head. She was in her heart. She was in her heart. Assume goodwill, Vaughn. And you're beating her over the head for feeling feelings which were involuntary because you, quote unquote, don't like it. Somebody lost their life. And you're over here talking about some what you don't like? Oh, Vaughn is a piece of work. Oh, he's a real piece of work. Vaughn is absolutely hideous.
To me, the grief looked like you still had real strong feelings for the dude. And which made me think, well, what am I doing here? And this is in the moment. We're talking in 2018. We were a year in when this happened. We were a little over a year in when it happened, but it just, I didn't like any parts of it. Now, you can't tell anybody how to grieve. Nope, I wasn't. I wasn't trying to tell her you need to grieve this way. I was just saying, from my perspective, it just looked to be a bit much. And I felt that way then, and I feel that way now.
Okay. Did y'all hear that? He said, I felt that way then, and I feel that way now. I felt that way then, but I feel that way now. Meaning, he's still angry. He's still going to punish you. He has not had any growth, any evolution. He's still in that same bitter place, feeling like you chose feeling sad over your ex-husband rather than loving me the most in the present, and I'm the one who's still alive. Vaughn is selfish. He's selfish.
Still felt like when you knew that when bio dad was absent,
Look at that
and he
attitude.
didn't have any children of his own,
Look at that
he was the one
attitude.
who
Look how he's
raised
shaking his
and
head.
cared for.
Look at the body
Are you
language.
saying this for them?
I'm saying this for you.
But you can't say it for me, because here's the thing. I had no problem with that guy. There was no jealousy. There was nothing. Because the moment you told me that he was sick, what did I do? The moment
you found out that he was sick, you were like, I have these remedies. I need you to, yes, these doctors I can help him with. Yes, absolutely.
Got you on the phone with him and got him on the phone with him.
Absolutely.
So
absolutely.
Girl, that's
But I am.
13.2.
But you didn't give me. I was.
But you weren't.
But you took the time out to say what you need to say. So it was.
Because
Oh, here it is. Tell the whole story. You didn't get to it fast enough. Trina Braxton, what the fuck are you doing with this man? What are you doing with him? This is abuse. It's abusive. Even though he's not putting his hands on you, the way that he is throwing those words out is almost like he's slapping you in the face. This is terrible. You know, I have this saying that, you know, for those of you who have been following me for the past year or so from other platforms, I have this saying. It's approximately 20 plus million black men in America. And out of those 20 million black men, 13.2 million of them aren't any good. And maybe one day I'll do the calculations and show you all the breakdown of how I came up with those numbers. But this man here, as soon as she mentioned how Gabe stepped in and raised her 2 children, and Gabe didn't have any kids of his own, and this is the reason why, that her love and ability to be amicable, even after he transcends from this life into the spirit world, the way that he was shaking his head and look at his hands, that whole body language, this nigga was pissed off at the thought of her even mentioning another man. He was pissed. Trina should have never married him. She should have never married him.
Your first thing should have been the moment that Vaughn found out, he went into help mode, because I'll help anybody. So there was no jealousy or anything. I never had any.
I didn't say that.
No, I didn't say that. No, you did. That did come up in an argument one time. There was no jealousy. There was nothing. I had no ill feelings towards the dude. That came in my witnessing or watching the grieving process. That's when it became a problem. So
he said earlier he didn't like any parts of it. He said he was angry about it. And he said he punished Trina for her being heartbroken over Gabe's death. But now he is turning it around. And now he's saying he didn't have a problem with Gabe. He offered Gabe access to remedies and doctors and specialists for his condition to help him get treatment. Translation: I don't have a problem with the dude. I have a problem with you. There it is, Trina. Wake up. What the fuck is going on with those Braxton sisters? He just said earlier he punished you for grieving and that he was angry about it. So him calling Gabe and connecting him with resources was not done out of the kindness of his heart. Vaughn only helped Gabe to show that he was not jealous of Gabe, even though he was. And Vaughn used those gestures or connections via his network of resources just to throw it back in your face later. So it was done with the duplicitous mindset. And one of those emotions he already acknowledged was anger. He was angry about it. And now he's trying to flip it and say, no, I helped him. No, you helped yourself, Negro. And earlier he said, well, what am I doing here? That's how he felt watching Trina grieve over Gabe. What am I doing here? He's turning Gabe's death into an ego blow because Vaughn wanted Trina to love him more than she feels sad about Gabe. Vaughn wanted Trina to forget about Gabe and toss Gabe and all of his memories and everything they experienced together in those 20 years in the trash. Vaughn is emotionally immature, and it's easy for me to see why his first wife was not a black woman.
You just gonna sit there?
Wait, what do you mean?
TV show host, and you're just letting dead space. You're not saying anything.
No, it's not that I'm saying that space. I'm allowing you to say how you feel because when I
Uh-oh. Here we go with the personal attacks. Didn't I just say it was abuse? Okay, here we go. More abuse. You're just going to sit there? This is a rhetorical question he's asking her. You're a TV show host, and you're letting all of this dead air continue? Oh, that was malicious. That was malicious. And that was a deep shot. And I heard this dusty, crusty Negro say, you were wrong. Wrong? Nigga, you just said that you were the one who was angry and punishing her for grieving. Despite you saying you cannot control or tell anybody how to grieve, you're still trying to control her right now and tell her what to say, how to say it, how to feel. This nigga is crazy. He is still angry. He is still jealous. He is still in his own head and in his ego. This man cannot be anybody's husband because he cannot lead anybody when he stands in his own way with his own big head nodding in agreement with the sound of his own damn voice. Garbage.
did say something, it was.
But because you were wrong.
And I can't speak for you. I can't speak for you. But, there are a lot of people who are going through this type of situation. And they're going through it.
Who's going through this situation?
Somebody, because, we are not exempt.
Then when Trina tried to move the topic along and say how other people at home may be going through this and she was going to tie it all together, you know how they do. He came back again and challenged her again and said, what people? Who's going through it? See, you cannot win with this type of man. You can't win. He knows every fucking thing with his Aquarius ass, and you cannot reason with him.
We go through the same stuff that everybody else goes through. But
this is but here's the thing. It was a unique situation because it wasn't a one-off. It wasn't a one-off. I'd never met anybody who was best friends with their ex. That was a new circumstance. I didn't even know that paradigm existed in the world. I had to deal with my ex because we had 3 children together and I had to talk to her almost every day. And as the kids got older, that weaned off, And so it wasn't just that. It wasn't just that you were mourning him. It was the fact that you had an ongoing relationship with him that I couldn't process because I never.
Wait a damn minute. Here he goes with how many people who he doesn't know who gets along after a breakup. Nigga, who asked you? It's not about you. It's not about you. You didn't just lose your ex-husband and your sister. See, Vaughn is so closed-minded. Nigga, you're not smart.
Seen it not just because I don't understand it doesn't mean that it doesn't have a right to exist. So I'm smart enough to know that different people do things differently. I'm just saying in my lifetime, I've never seen 2 people who were married, had a terrible divorce, and then became best friends. That was some new shit to me. That's all I said. And to this date, I still haven't seen it again.
Listen, husbands are supposed to be their wife's peace, just as much as a wife should be their husband's peace. Vaughn is nobody's peace. He is not even at peace within his solitude by himself at the top of a mountain. Looking over the events in his life in retrospect, he acknowledges that he is an angry person, but he has yet to acknowledge that he is still angry. He is unkind. He is very close-minded.
Well, we made better friends.
You said that.
He literally raised.
He did. He's a good dude.
Yeah, he literally raised the children. And
he went to bat for those kids when
yes.
nobody else would. He taught them how to be men when there was nobody else to do it. He was a good, solid human. My problem wasn't with that dude. It wasn't with him at all.
My problem isn't with that dude. My problem is with you. There it is. My problem is still with you. That's what he is saying. You can hear it all in his voice. And you all tell me what you think. Do you think Von's reaction is normal? How would you respond if you were in this situation? All thoughts and viewpoints are welcome. I'm just asking the question. Again, my name is E, and I'll stay in touch.